What's up, guys? Brandon with Strict Vision Athletics coming at you with a this or that. Today we're talking about assault bikes. So this right in front of me is the Assault Bike Classic. This is the first unit that we had here, actually probably one of the first pieces of equipment that we had here in the gym, period. And it has stood the test of time, let me tell you what. When it comes to this video, we're comparing the Classic to the Pro, which is what's going to come in the mail from Assault Fitness here pretty soon. But for the purposes of this one, I want to just sort of demonstrate what exactly this does. So Assault Fitness air bikes run off of air pressure, as the name would imply. This wheel inside of here spins, and the catch of the air itself is what creates the resistance as you ride. Now, the Assault Bike Classic is their first model. This is the first go they had at it, and it really did change the way that people rode these bikes, did high-intensity interval training, and everything that came with it. So it really did corner the market and make an incredible impression just from their very first attempt at it. I can tell you this bike is definitely durable. It's lasted a long ways. It is fed from a bike chain back here. It's got it has got 11 different adjustments right here on the seat itself. You can tell these go up and they're numbered. This is the tallest. No one rides at this height, honestly. I ride somewhere around there. It adjusts. The seat is incredibly comfortable. It also moves forward and back depending on where you want to position yourself just to be comfortable. You can move the seat forward and you can move it back just depending on where you want to go. Beyond this, the wheels in front allow for a lot of mobility. You can move this thing around. I can't tell you the number of times that I have moved this thing around my gym just to make it convenient. It's actually got a pretty decent sized footprint. It's very, very small for what it does. You get a lot of movement out of such a small space, and I really do like it. It's a good piece of equipment. Excited to see the Pro version. Excited to see what kind of updates they made to it. But yes, I do recommend this. It's a decent piece of equipment, and it is very durable. As I said, it has stood the test of time. Now let's talk about the Assault Fitness Pro X. So this is the latest model that they offer, and there are some key differences. So I want to start with the price. So this guy is $200 more than the Classic, which is the previous model that we had. But let me tell you where that money goes, because it is spectacular. So the first thing I noticed, I've used this thing for about 30 days now. The compartment holder up here at the top is truly incredible. The the Air Bike, the original Classic, did not have this. If you were doing any sort of an interval-based or even worse, a distance-based training, and you didn't have this, you really were kind of left up to, okay, I need a shelf near me, or I set it on the ground. It was super inconvenient. So just them deciding to add this to the top made this a heck of a lot easier and more convenient. So there's a phone area and a water container, both of which can be on this model, on the Pro X. Second thing I noticed is the seat. So the seat itself, there's something I like about it and something I don't. So let's start with the thing I like about it. I love the fact that the seat is a lot girthier. The framework they used is, I think, like 1.5 inches thicker than the previous model. The fact that it's thicker means it does not move. It doesn't. The old one, the Classic, was a little bit janky. It would move, it would kind of shift, and that was really just the result of the way that it was made. This, they really refined their product. They really made this a lot more durable here on the Pro X. Now, here's the thing I don't like about it. The old model, the Classic, had a pen that you could actually just pull, and you could, of course, tighten and loosen it, but you could just pull it, slide it up, and slide it down. Now, with the Pro X, they don't have that. You have to twist this all the way until it's loose, and then put it all the way back in when it's not. So that means making the adjustments on the height a lot more inconvenient. So that's something about this that I do not like in comparison to the Classic. Now, continuing on, this bike is belt fed. That is probably the biggest difference between the Classic and the Pro X. This is smoother, it is quieter, and it just rides like a dream in comparison to the Classic. The Classic was a traditional bike chain, sort of a propulsion technology, and that was fine. It just didn't provide the smoothest ride, and it was really, really loud. So it made a lot of noise when you're going. When this thing is going, it is, I'd say, a third as loud when compared to the Classic. So that right there is worth your $200. It is worth getting this thing just because of the belt-fed adaptation that they made for the Pro X in comparison to the Classic. So I really, really love that. Now, one thing I will say about the Assault Bike Pro and the Classic that they both have in common that I hate, I do not like. That is this pin system that they have up here on the front. The pins are awesome. The screw-in mechanism to keep it in place never cooperates. And this is something I noticed with the Classic that carried over to the Pro X. When you tighten this thing in, it just comes loose. And I mean, I have gotten like a wrench involved. I have cranked it. I have gotten this as tight as I can. It doesn't matter what you do over time. As you're moving these arms, these nuts come loose. These pins that are on either side will start to shift on their own, and you continuously have to keep cranking it. I probably had to do this with the Classic once a month, and eventually what I ended up doing was I would go to like Ace Hardware and I would get some of the, there's an adhesion or like a screw adhesive that you can put in there and put onto the design, and that way it'll keep it, but even that won't keep it permanently. I noticed that that would extend the life of the pins, maybe from having to change it every month to having to change it every 3 or 4 months, but it would still come loose. I don't understand why it does it, but I noticed that it does it here for the Pro X as well, so that I do not like. But beside that and what I mentioned about the seat, every single thing about the Pro X is an improvement. They have redefined and perfected their design for air bikes. Air bikes are some of the best cardiovascular tools in the world. Highly recommend it. Love this thing. It's incredible. Well done to Assault Fitness.